What's up everyone on the internet? Thank you for making this video part today. I'm so excited to upload this one for you guys because this video we're diving back into SAO with Sword Art Online Progressive Aria of a Starless Night. Holy crap, that's a mouthful, but it's good to be back into the world of Sword Art Online. After a year-long wait, I cannot tell you how excited I am to finally be talking about this movie. Seems like on yesterday we finished watching Sword Art Online Alicization, and now we're going back to the beginning with Sword Art Online Progressive. So anyway, SAO Progressive is meant to serve as a spin-off slash prequel series that takes place during the events of the first season of Sword Art Online, where we now follow Asuna on her journey on trying to survive in this game for as long as she can. Which I thought was a very interesting concept because in the first season of SAO, we only followed Kirito's heroic journey while Asuna served as a supporting character. However, in this movie, we get to see Asuna's side of the story as she dives into this fantasy world with her close friend Mito, who is actually one of the beta testers for Sword Art Online. And what I like about this new dynamic is that we get to see Asuna in a state that we have never seen her before, and that would be that she's very soft when we first meet her, which is crazy because when we first meet her in the anime, she was already this mysterious badass who knew how to take care of herself and was able to keep up with Kirito in the first boss battle. However, when we see Asuna in the movie, she's a typical high school student who's mostly focused in her studies. That is until her friend Mito gets her into video games, and while at first Asuna struggles in fighting games like Tekken, and for whatever reason the movie decided to promote Tekken in the first 20 minutes, but anyway, even though Asuna struggles, she still wants to learn more about video games in order to be close with her friend. Well, as it turns out, Sword Art Online is released to the public, and Asuna dives into this fantasy world where she meets up with Mito, and this is where we begin to see the movie parallel with the first episode of the series. Because if you watch these two storylines play out, you'll see how both Asuna and Kirito's story play almost the same beat, where they first have the time of their lives with their friends. That is until they realize that they can't log out of the game. And at that point, you as a fan and audience member already realize what's about to happen next. Because shortly after everyone realizes that they can't log out, the truth about Sword Art Online is revealed, where if you die in this game, you die in real life. And at this point, this is where the story begins to pick up the pace as we see Asuna and Mito take off into the wild where they can get stronger in order to beat this world. Which is crazy because based on what we saw in the trailers, you have this high school student who is very new to video games gets suddenly thrown into a game where it's life or death, where she almost dies on day one. Thankfully, she got someone like Mito helping her out, and this is where we begin to see Asuna become more like the Asuna we know and love. However, it's not until when we get to the second act of the film where we see the friendship between these two girls get put to the test, and it's not until after a particular moment where we see Asuna become more tough, hardened, cutthroat, ruthless. There are so many words to describe her right now, but she's a step closer in becoming the badass she is. And let's be honest, when you realize that it's now a matter of life or death, you gotta be tough in order to survive. It's also after this moment where the story begins to blend in with the second half of episode 1 of the anime, where everyone's getting ready for the first boss battle. Now, even though I loved how the movie adds more context to Asuna's character development and tells us where she was during the events of episode 1 of SAO, it's not until when we get to the third act of the film where the story starts to take some risks. Now, what I mean by that is that during the big boss battle that everyone remembers from the first episode of the series, the movie decides to dance around with the established continuity where you not only have Kirito and Asuna take on the big boss, but Mito also joins in on the fight as well, which puts you on the edge of your seat for many different reasons. One, while we know that Kirito and Asuna make it out of this game, for those like myself who haven't read SAO Progressive, we're not sure about Mito's fate. And two, because Asuna and Mito are the central focus of this story, the film teases with the idea of retconning episode 1 of the series by having one of these two girls make the killer blow rather than Kirito like how it played out in the anime. But overall, I really enjoy this movie and I cannot wait for the next installment of this trilogy to be released in 2022. What I also liked about this film is that it makes you want to rewatch the first season of Sword Art Online, as it helps you fill in the gaps of Asuna's character development during the first half of that season, as you get to see her transformation from student to gamer to a complete and total badass. So if you're a fan of Sword Art Online, I highly recommend you watch this movie. Well, that's gonna do it for this video, guys. That was my overall view on Sword Art Online Progressive Aria of a Starless Night. If you like what you saw, click the subscribe button so you can get all these updates from this channel. I'll see you next time with a brand new video. Bye bye.